Unitizer Tools Part 1. I'm going to show you our tool bank. It's underneath the Tools menu item. And I'm going to go through each thing, and next to it there'll be a little breakout that tells you what it does. So as you can see, it just covers anything pretty much you might need to get your documents ready to unitize with the program and to load into summation. So FileMover, first you pick the folder that's going to be your source directory. I'm going to move my help file. Okay, so in that second window, you click the little envelope and you tell your program where you want that to go. So I'm going to put it into the documents folder for safekeeping. Okay, so I've got two choices, move or copy. I'm going to probably move. There you go. And just click go. It's that simple. Now the new thing is this FileMover will QC the file to make sure the source and the destination directories are the same. This is so important because sometimes when you just copy paste, things can glitch in the middle and then you're sitting there having to go through both folders, comparing files and folders, and I hate that. So anyway, this is why we came up with that. So now what I want to do is I just want to move them back because actually I like my help folder being on my desktop. So I'm just going to copy it though this time so I can keep a safekeeping copy in my documents folder, and I'm going to put a working folder here on my desktop. So now I'm going to click copy and go. FileMover QCs and it tells me that the folders match, and then it completes the copy. Okay, and you can see now on my desktop I've got a help folder, and looking into the documents I've got a help folder also. So that copied it over and it told me that it was an exact copy. Pretty useful. The other change is that the help file now, it's just one help file for the whole thing. And so if you need anything, you just leave it on your taskbar. And for example, you go to the Tools section, and here's a little chapter on the FileMover itself with the latest pictures, and explains to you the functionality and basically what I just told you. Okay, so let's take a look at our next tool. And that's the PDFStamper. That's a really great tool. I like that tool. It's changed format a few times in its short history, but it's basically the same. You pick your PDF file that you want to have stamp numbers on, sequential numbers. I always use a PDF of the Constitution. And you'll pick your output file location. So I'm just going to put it back on the desktop, but give it a different name. So call it Const Stamper. Okay? Stamped. And that will tell me, you know, the name of the file when it comes out, and that is the stamped one. Okay, so now we're going to pick font. Arial is good, size 12 is good. I don't really need bold. It's kind of bold when it comes out anyway, so you don't really need to add any. Now you've got this top line text, which is great because you can put your case name, you can put plaintiff name or, you know, defendant name, anything up there that you desire, your company name, anything like that, okay? So I'll call it My Constitution. And since I am numbering in this situation, I'm going to put a prefix, CONST, dash. So everything is, on every document, the first thing is going to be a prefix of that. I'm going to start with number 1, and I'm going to do padding of 4 digits. Well, let's make it 6. The padding character will be 0, so there'll be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. We're not going to start within the document, which is what that one section is. We're going to start from the beginning to the end. I wanted to show you a select point. If you'll notice the numbers at the lower left, these are your X, Y, which when you read the tutorial help file, you can see that X means width, Y means height. So it's from height from the top and width from the side. Okay, so that looks like a pretty good place to start. And image stamping, you're not going to do that at the same time that you are text stamping. They're 2 different cycles. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's just stamp it and see what happens. Pretty quick. It's about 20 pages, just like that. Okay, so here's the output file. And let's take a look at that. Okay, so you can see it. Now the only problem is it kind of covers that line. And if you did that with a paper stamp, you'd be upset. So here you don't have to be upset. Just increase your Y a little bit. That means you're increasing the distance from the top. That means the stamp will be lower on the page. Good. Okay, so 760, that ought to do it. Stamp. You have nothing else to change. Everything else was already chosen. And we'll get this big thing we got to bring down again. Okay, so looks the same, except it's a little lower on the page. But you can see here that we got it below the line just by increasing that one Y number just a little bit. It brought it down. So that's pretty good. So let's take a look at the next tab, which is image stamping. And what I do generally is I'll uncheck the stuff on this tab. It's supposed to do it automatically, but I don't like to take a chance, especially once I get something all set up. So you click the image stamping check. And here you have the same situation. You've got your X and your Y. And you've got your select point tool. Okay, same exact thing. So I'm going to work on perhaps redacting. I'm putting it around the same numbers as they were on the other side. Okay, that's about right. Now the thing is, you really need to have some images to assist you in having something to use when you're stamping. So I've taken a moment and made up some images. I put them in a little folder. Okay, so I've got a confidential stamp, a redact 1, and a redact 2. So I'm using the smaller redaction. And you're just loading, basically, a blank image into that little window. And you're stamping it with a blank image. And that effectively redacts numbers if you have bait stamps that you want to get rid of, especially if you have them where they're not interfering with the text. Now we missed just a little bit. See that little mark? Some people wouldn't care, but I'm kind of funny that way. So now this is, you reduce the Y, which will bring it a little bit to the left. And here's an important thing too, to know that I've still got this image in the viewer, and it's going to be a little bit of a conflict. So I close the viewer and then do that, and then let's take a look. Let's make it smaller, and you can see it's gone. Okay, so we'll just flip through the pages. So that, if you had something and you really wanted to take the Bates numbers off and change them or do whatever you want, that's the perfect tool. Now say you wanted to put a confidential stamp on this because you were suddenly, this was the thing you were going to produce. So let's just put it up in the upper right. Sometimes parties to a lawsuit like to decide where those things should go. So if you have some sort of agreement, anyway, there you go. Just confidential stamp up in the top. It's going to put it exactly the same spot. So you would want to look over your documents and find the most likely spot for that. Again, the help is going to be in the UnitizerPro under Tools and PDFStamper, and that's where we have the help file, and we have images, and we have explanations that pretty much follow along with what I said in this tape.